The journey from Hive Primus to Hive Secundus is a perilous path. Starting with 7 gangs racing in the Bone Road Death Race to the settlement of Spoil Town, where a settlement showdown takes place, the gangs then head south on the Dust Road to take part in a great rig robbery. They finally get to Ashgrad, the last stop to refuel and re-equip until they head south one more time. After 5 weeks, the gangs finally make it to the Dust Wall. What happened on the way to the Dust Wall? What gangs died and what gangs thrived? Find out this time on JD in the Sump Sea. Welcome back to JD in the Sump Sea. I'm Jay, and today we'll be doing a breakdown of what happened in weeks 1 through 5 of my Ash Wastes campaign at Old Guard Games. So over the last 5 weeks, we've played through an Ash Wastes campaign, which I went over originally in this video here. I'm going to do a quick recap, and then we'll get into the games. And if Necromunda hobbying, Necromunda painting, Necromunda tactics, gang building, campaigns, or other miniature hobby pursuits are your thing, then make sure you bust out your Warhammer and smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any more of our content. Let me give you a quick rundown on this campaign, since it's not a straightforward Ash Wastes campaign. So I wanted this campaign to be an introduction to the vehicle rules for the players, and I wanted this campaign to be a journey, not a campaign of conquest. The idea was to get people ready for the Ash Wastes weekend, including myself, and to have this campaign be a lead-up to the Underhells campaign we're planning to start in November. So this campaign is a journey. As I said, a journey from Hive Primus to Hive Secundus. So, how do I do a campaign as a journey? Well, I took inspiration from the Underhells campaign in the fact that there'd be no road sections or territories to capture, and that the trading post wouldn't always be available. I decided to use my experience in running and playing Ash Wastes campaigns and make the decision to enforce battlefield conditions and weather conditions of my choosing each week, instead of letting it fall to chance and potentially ruining someone's game. I also had everyone play the same scenario every week, except for week 4, and I tweaked the scenarios slightly in some cases as well. I wanted to pick scenarios that were interesting, but also help tell the story of the journey. We had 3 rolling road scenarios out of 5 weeks of games. The final week, week 6, is also not a rolling roads game. It's a multiplayer game, which I'll talk about in a future video. I also allowed everyone to make a gang with 1,200 credits, plus 400 additional credits for crews, vehicles, and mounts. The idea with this larger gang size was that because the trading post was not available every week, and new fighters couldn't be recruited, that there'd be attrition, and so starting with a larger gang size would help mitigate the losses. And so with all those caveats in mind, let's talk about week 1. So in week 1, we all played in the Bone Road Death Race. This game is supposed to last 8 rounds, but ours ended in turn 2. The reason, of course, is because we had 7 players playing in one huge rolling roads game. Everything took longer, and this was almost everyone's first experience playing with vehicles and mounts. This game actually turned out pretty good, with no one really losing too many fighters or vehicles. Jacob won, so his Delac got 46 times 10 credits, and I modified this scenario so that everyone else also got 2d6 times 10 credits, again because we had no territories or trade routes to collect income from. One of the issues with this scenario is that infiltrators can win it pretty quick. If the scenario is played one-on-one and it goes to more than 2 turns, this issue is probably mitigated somewhat. After week 2's game is the first downtime, and after the game everyone is able to make a trip to a limited trading post and could hire either Hive Scum or recruit Juvies. The game this week was the Settlement Showdown. I thought this would be a fun scenario, and I modified it somewhat to allow people capturing buildings to get credits, since again acquiring credits is only doable through playing and accomplishing things in the scenarios in this campaign. I was unable to be at the store this week due to a nasty cold, but I'm very lucky that the players in the campaign are great people who took great pictures, and I can share those with all of you. They decided to make it one big multiplayer game instead of playing one-on-one games. There was a point apparently when one of Chuck's Ash Waste Nomads charged Jacob's vehicle and then realized he couldn't actually hurt it. Luckily, they got a picture of it. Week 3 was back on the rolling roads. For Week 3, we all played the Great Rig Robbery, which I think is actually a pretty cool scenario, but of course the players in this campaign are quite clever, and in the 2 games I didn't play in, they decided to just farm money from the rigs. In Chuck and Mike's game, it actually ended pretty quickly, or they would have made a good deal more money than they did, and in Ian and Jacob's game, they actually made lots and lots of money. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal, but at the next trading post, a lot of money could go a long way. Nate and myself decided that we should try and kill each other instead of making money. In Necromunda, well, that's usually the more fun way of playing a game. In a campaign, it's not always the best idea. I think I would have to change some things about this scenario if I were to use it again in a campaign. We either need to limit to an odd number of how many times the rig can be looted, or make the game end sooner, or maybe make the rig fight back. There's a lot of options, but just allowing people to get hundreds of credits fairly easily by basically not interacting with their opponent does not a great scenario make. Week 4, the group pulled up to Ashgrad, and after the games of this week, a full real downtime was able to take place for the first time. But the games this week were determined by which NPC the players decided to talk to. To decide who talked to who, we all rolled 3d6, and the person who rolled highest got to pick who to talk to and subsequently which scenario they would then play. The next highest roller would then pick either another NPC to talk to or play as the other player in the highest roller scenario. We continued this until 3 NPCs had been talked to and all the players had a game to play. I wanted the scenarios for this week to feel like RPG subquests, so each one was rather unique, and 2 of them took place indoors, basically in underground caverns beneath the surface of Necromunda. These 2 scenarios would ignore the weather and battlefield surface rules for the week. The 3 scenarios picked were Fuel Hunt, Target Practice, and Forgotten Riches. I chose Fuel Hunt, which is the most straightforward scenario of the bunch. I've always liked this scenario because of the straightforwardness of it. You capture objectives, you get money for each one you capture, and the game is over when they've all been captured. I played Chuck's Ash Waste Nomads, and we had a pretty good game, although we had issues with the weather, which I rolled for, and it turned out it was the Rad Storm, which definitely hurt both of us each turn. Nate and Ty played Target Practice, which is unlike other Necromunda scenarios in that the 2 gangs need to shoot targets and get points for them to win. Unfortunately, because of the weather, neither of them were able to survive long enough to make any money. Jacob and Mike played Forgotten Riches, which I modified to allow for money to be made since it's in such an old scenario, there's no mention of credits in it. I think the Rad Storm may have been too much for this week. If I had to redo the weather for this week, I think I would have used Soaring Temperatures or Rust Storm and not include the Rad Storm as an option. Week 5 is the last week I'll talk about in this video, and is essentially the end of the campaign. Week 6's scenario will be played tomorrow, it is the final game, and is a multiplayer game, and I will probably make a separate video just for that. So Week 5's game was The Battle for the Riftways, a really interesting and unique Rolling Roads scenario from the Aranthian Succession campaign. This scenario begins as an Ash Waste Rolling Roads game and ends as a non-Rolling Roads game. The first 4 turns of the battlefield rolls and then stops as the gangs reach the gate. In the lore for this campaign, I came up with this is the outer gate of the Dust Wall. Week 6 is actually trying to get through the Dust Wall itself. Jacob played Chuck, and they fought each other until only one of them survived. Nate and Mike fought a bloody game in which only Mike's Ogrins on Trikes remained. They went on to win the scenario. I played Ty, so it was the Battle of the Walkers. I had the advantage of having a light vehicle that moved 7 inches per turn, so when I did a full throttle move, I could move 21 inches. I outraced him to the wall, and eventually won the game. So thanks for watching my video today, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope maybe it could encourage you to run your own campaign or make some adjustments the way I made adjustments with my campaign. And I also wanted to say thanks again to all the players in the campaign. It's been really amazing, everybody at the store. We never thought that it would be this great, that we'd meet so many new people that were, such great people and so much fun to play with. And that they would come back week after week. It's really been more than we ever could have hoped for. But that's all I've got for you this time. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe.